Let's open it right up for questions for Coach Stoudamire.
Wasey shot the ball well, but the rest of the team missed a lot of open threes. I guess that was maybe part of your strategy tonight on offense, was to get those kind of looks against their defense. Were you seeing anything in particular happening with the missed shots, or was these guys missing?
No, I mean, look, it's I think in winning games, you know, we won some games early, and you know, our defense has been pretty good, but you can only put stress on your defense for so long without scoring baskets. And you know, I think at some point it becomes you trying to put a Band-Aid on the wound. You know, we need some stitches. You know, and you know, we got to make shots. You got to put the ball in the hole to win games. And you know, we have to be better. We have to be better at not only making shots, but we gotta be better at just, you know, working on game shots, game speed each and every day. That's important. You can go and you can make 100 shots, 200 shots a day, but if it's not game speed shots, what difference does it make? You know, guys aren't pros, so you got to put yourself under stress. Practice is to put yourself under stress, so when you get to a game, like it becomes a habit, and you know you can't waver in that commitment to whatever you are doing. And to me, that's at times why, you know, we can't make shots, because you got to understand the assignment. And I think that if you look at our stat sheet in terms of the shooting, you know, 8 for 30, Wasey made 7 threes, Bai made a 3. And it's not about the other guys making or missing shots, honestly, because again, you know, talking about putting a Band-Aid on the wound, you know, we've been struggling shooting all season, so you have to really critique yourself. You got to really critique yourself. You know, I've been through shooting slumps, but you got to critique yourself. You got to know how people are playing you. You got to, you know, if you're a guard and they're going under the ball screen, you got to start telling the big to change the angle, you know, so you can get to your spot and you can pull up and you can make that shot. So it's just it's so much deeper than just, to me, just the stat sheet of it, you know, of saying that, you know, Wasey shot the ball well, you know, compared to everybody else. Everybody else has to buy into the way the scouting report and the way people are guarding you as well to get better at shooting. And then you got to work on those shots, game like shots, game speed, you know, and that to me is something that guys don't do enough on a consistent basis, you know what I mean? Like, and so you can't just hope that the game starts and it's going to happen. And, you know, that has to get better in order for this to change, you know, because we have 6 guys under 40% from 2. Like, that's tough.
Coach, it seemed like the defensive plan was clear to slow down Hubbard in this game. And look, the first half was great, 4 points, but then he finishes with 21 in the second half. What did you see from him just as a player, and then what you guys were able to do that worked, and then some of the things that just didn't work?
Well, first of all, he needed an Academy Award because he does some great acting out there. And truth be told, as a little guard, I applaud him for that. But as he moved forward, they call technicals for that. You know what I mean? And I'll say this, I'm really not even like this, but one of the refs told me he messed up a call. Well, thank you. After the fact, it was a key play in the game. You know, when you missed it, and you know, man, I'd rather you keep it to yourself. You don't gotta apologize for it now. But you know, Josh is Josh, and this is our 3rd time playing against State since I've been here. So we played him year one. Then we played him in a scrimmage last year, and then we play him this year. And so he's gotten better. Really good at angles, compact, strong. And, you know, for the most part, in the first half, we did a really good job. But in the second half, you got to give him a lot of credit because he averages 23 points. He had 25. But it wasn't that he had the 25 or got his average. It was the fact he only took 14 shots to get it. And so you got to make him work a little harder than that. He's a great free throw shooter. He was 7-7 from the line. So we didn't do a good job there, you know, from that standpoint. And what happens is you let a guy like that get loose, and I think he got a wide open transition three or whatnot, and I think they kind of set him off. But, you know, he's a really good player. He's the third leading scorer in the country for a reason, you know, and then he got it going.
You hit on the next thing I was going to ask you about. It seemed like the foul on the three-point shot that was not a foul was the real turning point of the game. I think it was a 10-point game there. You had some momentum, were playing well, and then that swung at 3 points the other way. And then it seemed like things kind of went south from there. Just how big was that play, and do you feel like that's kind of when it kind of got fully away from you?
Well, it was a big play, and at that moment, you know, to make that call, you know, and it is kind of deflating, but I'm not going to sit up here and, you know, act like that's why we lost the game. You know, there's a lot of other things that I can count on, but as we're coming back in the game, we're fighting, and have a call like that happen at that time, you know, it's disappointing, you know what I mean? It's just like, you know, again, you know, I don't blame, you know, Josh for it, but, you know, as a ref, right, you know, you got to watch the game, you know, and so I assume you knew you was reffing Josh Hubbard, and so you got to know that these are the things he do. He'll throw his leg out, like, you know, and that's fine, but I'm just saying it's not really, that's what I'm saying, it's not really about Josh, but it's just more so about those are things that as a ref, like, you got to have a feel for it, right? Like, you got to know that these are the things that he does, and so you got to take that into consideration. And so, you know, that for me is always the more disappointing thing than necessarily the call, because I'm the human element, the human eye gonna make mistakes, but it's just like you got to know who you reffing as well. You know what I mean? And so I think they missed the assignment more so of knowing who you're reffing, you know, at that time. So
That's good. Kelly, if you want to wrap this up.
Sure. You guys are in a little funk right now. What do you need to see to get out of this when you guys play again on Saturday with Monmouth?
I need to see five guys fight. Probably the biggest thing for me at this moment is stability, you know, within the team. We don't have a stabilizer on the floor. Like, guys just out there hooping. Like, you know, sometimes we need organization. You know, we need different things. And I'm fine with doing all that from the sideline, but it makes it just a little easier when you have somebody that can take command on the floor. You know, it's a leadership thing. It's like the boat is rocky when you don't have that. You know, and I think we trying to figure that part out. For me, that's actually bigger than the playing in this stat sheet, because I think that in terms of a team, I said this, and I truly mean this. Had we won today's game, I still would feel the same. I just wouldn't maybe have said it, but I still feel like this is what we need. You know what I mean? Like, we need separation. You know, right now we got 6-7 players that's the same. You need like some separation. You know what I mean? You need some guys to elevate. You know, you can't. Sometimes you want guys to elevate, but you just can't elevate them. The game got to elevate. You know what I mean? And so that's where we're at. You know, but to be honest with you, it's the hard part and the fun part all at the same time. You know, because you got to figure it out. You know, there's a lot of season to go. And the goal from start was to make sure that we were straight going into ACC play. And I think that nothing's changed, but we do need to stop the bleeding. We need to put some stitches on some of this, on some of them wounds, and I just want to see guys fight. That's what I'm looking for. It's just simple as that, and that's what I'm looking for on Saturday. We got an early game. It's an early game. It's a little different, so the turnaround time is quick. So that's all I'm looking for. That's all I'm looking for. Yeah. All right.